Storm, welcome to Toronto.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here. So, what have you been doing in Toronto, but aside from your performance? How did that go?
The performance was really good. Yeah, I was with my friend Desiree Dawson at Harborfront, and it was just like, yeah, it was a great day.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people just kind of in that area that came to like relax and watch the music.
So, how long have you been making music?
I've been making music since I was 13, 14 years old. I've been writing songs just on guitar and piano and stuff.
So, how many instruments do you play?
I'm mainly a guitar player, but I play a little piano, and I used to play drums in school, in band. Drums was actually like my first instrument. Yeah, I just always like wrote songs. That was kind of just my thing, my escape.
Yeah.
You know.
So, what's your favorite instrument to play?
Probably guitar, I guess.
Okay.
You know, that's the one
Seems natural.
I'm decent enough. I can call myself a guitar player, I guess. You know.
Right. So, 13-year-old Matt Storm, how did you start making music at 13?
13. Okay. At the time, I was actually living overseas. My family was living in Islamabad, Pakistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had a friend who had like a little toy guitar. We were listening to Sugar Ray.
Okay.
You know, that every morning. Every morning. That was like huge.
Keep singing it.
You don't want that.
No, okay.
No. We were trying to learn that guitar riff, and I had never played guitar, and for some reason I was like really infatuated with it, and I was like, I'm gonna learn this riff. And they all went out to like play or somewhere. I just like sat in his room and like learned the guitar.
Just on your own.
Just on my own, because I was obsessed. Like it was like I was like, oh, okay, I can learn this, right? And then I remember playing it for him when he got back, and he's like, no, you're not playing it. You're playing it wrong, right? So I was like, oh,
it's discouraging you.
I'm gonna get my own guitar, like. So that was kind of like the start, you know, of that.
Never let anybody tell you you're doing something wrong or you can't do it. Yeah, because look at you. Like, you're amazing at what you do, and you should know that.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. What are those?
They're like garlic seeds. Like from a garlic plant. It's kind of like asparagus.
Ah, okay.
It's like garlicky asparagus.
I don't think I've ever had it before.
Look at these cute little onions. These are adorable. Start spreading.
Hey. So I gotta ask you, have you ever had your heart broken? Based off of some of your songs, it makes me a little curious.
I have. Yeah, I mean, we've all had our heart broken at some time, right?
But you put yours into beautiful words. I mean,
it's like, it's one of those things, like when you're, like I feel like the good songs come from those like desperate feelings where you just don't, you want to yell, you want to scream, like you don't know what you want to do. There's this feeling of desperation, and like, yeah, sometimes it can be heartbreak.
So do you naturally just write it down when you're feeling those feelings?
I don't really like write a lot of things down. Like I do write as well on the side, but usually I'll just like grab a guitar and just kind of start humming and singing melodies until like where some sort of words come out. Usually whatever comes out, you just kind of chase it. It's almost like you're not in control of it. It just kind of comes out of you.
That's amazing.
And you just like, okay, I guess I have to write a song.
That's your talent coming out there. Not everyone can do that. I know I definitely couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So when you have a feature on your track, because I noticed a couple of your songs, you do have people featured, like Desiree, for example.
Yeah.
Her voice is phenomenal.
I love Desiree.
Yeah. So do you write her verses, or does she write that on her own?
No, she wrote that, the one we did together, she definitely wrote on her own. She's an amazing songwriter as well. Desiree I've just known for like years, and I actually played drums in her band, is how I met her. And then we would just kind of hang out, and I would show her my songs and stuff. And like at the time, I wasn't really getting out and performing much.
Okay.
So she was a big part in being like, no, you have to go perform. I'm gonna do this show where you're gonna put you up, you're gonna do your songs, and like I was nervous, and she's just like, no, you gotta do it. So like she was very much an inspiration for
that's a good friend.
And still to this day, I mean, I'm in Toronto right now
because
I'm out here playing with Desiree.
Right.
So.
I'm glad that you have a friend to push you, because sometimes you need that push.
Sometimes that's all it takes, is just a little bit of a
because you
push.
definitely have the talent.
Yeah. And you just have to go do a little bit of the work.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I feel like I felt that early on when I was younger. It's like you feel like someone's going to do things for you, or you have these hopes and dreams and you think you're going to get discovered, or it's just going to happen naturally, but it really just doesn't work like that, and you just have to go do the work.
Yeah, no, you do.
Then, like,
and good things don't come easy. So
Yeah.
it is, and I'm sure you know that hard work has come
Yeah.
and gone through it, right?
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge you would say has been in your musical career?
The biggest challenge, maybe just like, I think performing live was a challenge to me, because I was kind of like a closeted musician. Like I would just write songs and not really play them for many people, like maybe play them for my friends and stuff. And I would get on stage and just like I'm kind of a very shy person at the core, so getting over that was a challenge. And even after I got over the shyness to like get on stage, it's like all of a sudden you're in a completely different environment where like you're not in your room just kind of like whispering to yourself. Like you have to project, you have to like engage the crowd, you have to there's this huge learning curve to performing live that was like really daunting at first, but I'm still to this day, like I'm always, every show, like I'm learning something, and you just get more and more comfortable to like just be who you are on stage,
Yeah.
But that took a long time to learn.
So do you feel like you're absolutely comfortable on stage? Like you could just go and own the stage and it's yours? Like, or do you still feel that little bit of insecurity kick in?
I mean, there's always some insecurity.
Yeah.
It depends on the stage. Sometimes you get in front of a crowd and the energy feels weird, or sometimes the energy feels really great right away. But I always get nervous. My heart starts beating, but it's a different kind of nerves now. It's like the adrenaline. It's more excitement now. Like I realize that it's more excitement. It's like I almost had to come to that understanding of like, when you're nervous about something, it's because you care. Like it's because you're excited, right? So I just try and like lean towards that side of
right.
just be excited and
I could definitely relate to you in that sense, because most of my life I've been shy.
Yeah.
So to even do this, like of course I told you I was a little bit nervous to do this. You just have to overcome the fear.
Because it's something you really want to do. Is usually why you go into these fearful situations. So
exactly.
You gotta just keep doing them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, block out those haters. You perform a lot in Vancouver, you said, right?
Yes, Vancouver Island a bunch as well. Yeah, I'm also a producer and like a sound engineer, so I work with a bunch of artists in Vancouver. I just kind of help them with their music. I spend a lot of time in the studio as well.
I can imagine.
But I try and perform as much as I can,
Yeah, keep it up.
Yeah, and travel.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your band.
Yes.
So do you have a set band, or because like when I listen to your music and I hear your band, it's like I just want to know, is it the same band every time, or do you switch it up? Do you play music too, or do you just sing in your own songs?
Right. Yeah, so I have a band that's like, it's pretty set. There are a few guys that I just really have loved playing with for the last few years. But they all have their own projects and stuff. So sometimes I'll get other musicians, but I do have like a core group of like people that I work with.
Cool.
Which is Luke DeVille on bass, which, he's incredible. And he's actually
you got to introduce your band,
Luke DeVille on bass, and he's also an artist in his own right. He does all sorts of stuff. Trent Otter is the drummer.
Okay.
Who is like my favorite drummer ever. And Yamil Chain Haddad plays keys, and he plays in a bunch of bands as well. I've been recording with him a bunch lately, actually, in the studio. So the whole like next project I'm doing is going to be kind of like all those guys on the instruments, because they really bring something special to my songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your music can put me through so different emotions.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's powerful. It's incredible what
That's
you're
really
doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was like actually the 2 band tracks that I put out were like the most successful for me. And everything before then was, I self-produced everything, so I played all the instruments. That's
a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah, very
and it's lonely.
Uh-huh.
It gets lonely
I can imagine.
You're just like by yourself in the studio.
I got a question. Would you rather do like your acoustic stuff, or you really like playing? It seems like you really like playing with the raindrops. Or
I like all of it, but right now, this next project is very much going to be like with the raindrops, a lot of electric guitar and keys, and like kind of a bit more into like the jazz world. Like I've always had jazz influences.
But you're exploring that a bit more.
I'm exploring some jazzy, kind of darker stuff. Yeah, just kind of tweaking the sound, you know, growing, evolving as an artist.
Right.
I'm a little bit older now, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you're growing with your music, right?
I'm growing with the music,
yeah. Exactly.
I just go with what kind of is influencing me at the time, and you start to, I guess, pay attention to like what you like about artists and their songs, and like try and infuse that into your own work.
Well, I can definitely hear that in your music, like you growing with your music. And I think that's awesome because even though it's still you and it's still authentic, it's growing with you. So it's still changing, as you say, like a little bit darker, a little bit more with the jazz. And I hear that. And I love jazz music. So it goes so well together.
Yeah.
And like your style and everything is just like, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'm a big jazz fan. Like, what kind of jazz music do you like?
Just anything.
All sorts of
like,
stuff.
Like that's why in Kensington there's this jazz bar that I go to. It's called
yeah.
Poetry Jazz.
Poetry jazz.
Yeah, cafe. I don't know if they're still open at that location, but if you can, I would check it out because
I would love to.
the charm in that place is awesome. So who would you say your influences were back as 13-year-old you and to now?
13-year-old me?
Yeah, and then now, like how have you grown influence-wise?
Back then, I was listening to a lot of stuff. You know, a lot of stuff that I guess was a bit more mainstream. Like I was a big like Jack Johnson fan. I would listen to like a lot of Bob Marley and like Sublime and stuff like that, and like surfy music, I guess, when I was young.
Because when you're younger, it's kind of like what you're exposed to, right? You don't always have the tool, and especially like when we were growing up, we didn't have Spotify and YouTube. But when I did, that's when I started discovering artists that I can really relate to.
And you get put on by like various people, and you're like my older brother. Like as I got older, or even when I was young, I would listen to like CDs that he would have around, and he would listen to like a bunch of ska and like hip hop, and he was very much like finger on the pulse, kind of like. He'd be like, "You guys gotta. This is what's the dopest shit right now." Like he always thought like he knew what like the best stuff, but he did. He had like really good taste in music.
That's good.
So my brother definitely influenced a lot, and I would listen to a lot of like mainstream stuff. But you know, music was like was always around in the house. Like you know, my dad was always listening to music. Like it was kind of. He would come home from work, like pour himself a beer, read the newspaper, and like put on a CD like every day.
My dad would put on albums.
Yeah, and he'd listen to the whole album.
Right, crates. You teach me about Sade. You know, I didn't even know Eddie Murphy was an artist until my dad put me on Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it's subconsciously like it influences you, right? Like all the stuff they used to listen to.
Absolutely.
Because it's just like in the house.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're that age, you're like, no, I'm not trying to listen to like this adult.
Music,
but then after a while you're like, what was that one song you listened to?
But that's the thing, how I say you're growing with your music.
Yeah.
It's like even a lot of the stuff that I used to listen to younger, like now I appreciate it a lot more because you start to relate to music and what people are saying in their songs, right? Because you tell a story when you're putting out your music and when you're writing it.
Yeah.
And a 13-year-old might not be able to relate to what you're saying to, but then, you know, as you get older, you're like, I dealt with that. Like, we went our own ways.
Totally. Yeah, it's cool how, like, people really connected with that song, actually, and it was kind of really random how, like, I wrote that song. It just, like, was one of those moments where you started saying something that you're not really sure where it came from. Like, I think the line I said was, like, 18, I wasn't ready, was the line that first, like, came to my mind.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I guess I gotta write about my high school romance that went sideways. It just kind of like told me what the song was gonna be.
Yeah.
And I probably wrote it in like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or an hour. Like it was just like it's just like, there's not a lot of lyrics in that song, so the lyrics just came out and it was really quick. Yeah. Which is, a lot of the best songs is like that. Just like super quick.
Right. It just adds to the effect. I like it as natural as possible. I don't know about you, but...
No, you need the natural moments.
Oh, cheers.
I was asking about if I was to make babies.
Yeah, so his question was, how does it feel to be...
You're making a new baby?
Yeah, you're...
Drake's making it too.
Yeah, how does it feel to be making the new baby-making music of this generation? That was his question.
Right. The baby making music. It feels good, I guess. I mean, I didn't necessarily intend to like for it to be baby making music, but that being said, I love a lot of baby making music. So I think it just
What's your go-to?
Marvin Gaye. For one. I mean, a lot of that old 60s, 70s soul music is definitely a big influence.
A lot of babies made around that time.
A lot of babies made. But I never really, like, a lot of people say that, they're like, oh, this is baby making music. I'm like, I mean, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell you that.
People tell me that sometimes, I guess. Like,
Like,
sometimes I
want to
don't.
slow
Like,
dance to your music.
I guess I'm a romantic guy. I don't know. It just comes out through the music. So
It comes out in many ways, and that's good.
yeah.
It's the best way to be, right?
I'm happy to facilitate some baby making.
Yeah. No, it makes you cry, it makes you goosebumps, gives you hope. It's like your music gives you all that range of emotion.
Makes them want to have babies. Tell me more about yourself, aside from the music.
Yes.
Like, what do you like to do?
I am like a big fan of nature.
I noticed that. A lot of your albums have green in it, which I also, because I
Yeah.
have a lot of plants.
Yes,
and I'm very
you do
much.
have a lot of plants.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. No, I love nature, like, always since I was young. So I try and get out and, like, just go on, like, hikes or whatever, go camping, go swimming, stuff like that. Like, I just really feel, like, peaceful in nature, you know? So that's a big thing that I like. I'm a skateboarder.
Okay.
I love skateboarding.
I do too, but I'm not the greatest at it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I busted up my knee and my elbow trying last.
Nice.
Yeah.
When was this?
This was last summer.
Oh, nice, nice.
I have my dad's old penny board. And
Nice.
if you can
I love that. Yeah, skateboarding's fun. And yeah, like, falling is a big part of it. You eat a lot of shit.
Yeah, I did. I felt
It's
many
like
times.
sobering.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always loved skateboarding.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. Like, they confiscated my board for me because I kept falling so
Really?
many times. Yeah.
You were
But I'm
too-
like,
you
how
were a
else?
problem.
Yeah, how else am I going to learn though, right?
It's
Like,
true. You have to
you
fall.
have to.
It's like
You have to.
wrist. My wrist is still messed up.
Yeah, my knee.
From years of falling at your knee.
Yeah.
I used to have bad knees. It's just kind of one of those things where you
Just gotta
like
deal with it.
hurt yourself.
You either skateboard or not.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I like the same perform live.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So have you ever had a bad experience performing live?
I've had plenty of bad experiences
yeah?
performing live. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about some.
Well, sometimes you just get it really in your head.
Okay.
Performing live, like, I probably am overanalyzing the performance, but actually, even just the other night, there was this place that was doing music in Vancouver, and they wanted to book me for a show, so I was kind of unsure of how it would go. We did the show, and it was, like, kind of rough. Really loud, nobody was paying attention, like, it didn't seem like anybody cared. The sound was really bad. You couldn't really hear yourself. It's one of those, sometimes you get on stage and you wonder, you're just like, why, like, should I be here? Like, does anybody even care? Like, you get that vibe, and then you get in your head. I mean, I'm better at it than I used to be, but...
Right. Because it's kind of like what you said earlier, how, like, yeah, I put my music out there, I don't expect the most.
Yeah.
But when they're in front of you, when you can kind of see their reactions while you're doing it, is much different than putting a track out there, right?
It is, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
immediate, and, like, you're in people's space, and, like, you're, a fragile artist. I mean, I'll cater to different audiences, but, like, mostly, like, I'll just go up, I'll play my original music,
Right.
and it's, like, either you're into it or you're not.
Right.
And sometimes that can be challenging, but so you have some experiences where it's just loud and it feels like nobody wants you there, but it's just a part of it, you know. And like always when that happens and you get in your head and you're like, that was the worst show ever, why am I doing this? I hate myself.
Yeah.
Like, am I any good? Like, you'll meet someone after, like, usually, who's just like, I love that set, like, I love your music, I'm gonna go check out your
And
music.
then
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, okay, like, there's always somebody that's
Right.
that's into it.
Yeah. Like,
So-
even, for example, how you mentioned my other interview, right? And you're like,
yeah.
I watched it. Like, the fact that you took the time to watch that,
Yeah.
to me, is pretty cool.
I think it's like the main thing is like I try not to think about things that are like out of my control.
Right.
I did that for a long time. Almost like you feel like you expect something, like you deserve something when you're young and you're like, you get up all in your head, people tell you you're talented, you're like, I feel like I deserve things, and then you realize that you don't really deserve anything. You have to just focus on what's in your control, and that's try and write better songs and just like put the music out. And that's really what I focused on. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I really got into that mind state of I'm gonna stop caring
Right.
what anyone thinks. I'm gonna stop caring if anybody responds to me, if anybody books me. I'm just gonna make the music, put it out, reach out to people to try and play shows, and just do that.
So how do you get that mindset on stage with you when you're in front of everybody?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the same type of thing. It's
Right.
like I'm up here, I'm bearing my soul on stage.
Yes.
It's not up to me if they like it or not. If I start to think about if they like it or not, it's going to affect my performance. So for me, I realized all these thoughts just get in the way of being who you want to be on stage and just being your true self and just being an artist on stage. Like, these thoughts, they never help. So I just try and keep that in mind when they come through my head.
Yeah.
But they still come to my head, and it's definitely like, it's borderline panic every time I'm on stage.
It's almost like a meditation factor that you have to, like, you know, psych yourself out. And that's honestly what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, okay, how do I deal with all the noise going on in my head, but also staying calm?
Yeah, and staying present. And then you realize you get in your head about what people like want from you. But then I guess I kind of realized, like, all that people really want is for you to just be yourself on stage. People have this like built-in thing where they can recognize if you're being real or not. You know, like we all have it.
Yeah.
And it's in your voice, and it's in everything you do. Like we all have that ability to just be like, oh, he's being real on stage, and like they will appreciate that, I guess, is what I hope. You know.
And I can feel that from your music.
Right.
That I don't know, you know, you could be a facade, but like to me it feels like it's real, it's genuine. That's why I ask you, do you write this yourself? Because if someone else writes it for you, it makes a difference if someone else kind of like put those words into your mouth. But if it's coming from you, the way you represent it and present it makes a big difference.
Right. Well, I'm glad that it comes across, I guess.
No, for sure.
But you know, I just write from
The heart.
the heart, the soul. Yeah. It's all very cliche, but
it's true.
Pretty true.
I can wait. I can hear Kendrick Lamar featuring on that.
He was saying,
Saying
this.
J. Cole right now.
Yeah.
I swear to God, on my drive.
Right. And J. Cole is one of my favorite artists.
I really like J. Cole.
That's one of your songs where I can hear a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
There's a couple I can hear like Jenny Aiko or you know.
Well, like I have a lot of influences, so I don't like some like I Can Wait is very hip hop influenced. Like I used to listen to end of high school. I remember there was a time where I was just like getting into like 90s hip hop, right? And like that's literally all I listened to. Like I remember looking at my iTunes back in the iTunes days.
Yeah.
Download shit. YouTube to MP3.
Right. YouTube. I still sometimes YouTube everything. I can't lie. Like,
I'll still do it.
Yeah, me too. Because there's some things you can get on YouTube and you cannot get it anywhere else.
And the early days of YouTube was big, like, and I would just discover, and I was very much like just like a hip hop head. Like I was so down.
You might judge me for this, but the biggest thing that got me on YouTube, like the one song, was Rihanna Punda Replay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to hear this, like, or not just wait for it to come on the radio,
Is that
right?
her first single? Or
It might not have been her first single, but I think
come and take a walk with me.
But I think that was after.
Oh, that was after?
I could be wrong, but I feel like Punda Replay was the one that was like, come, Mr. You know, and it never got everybody, And then that one definitely came.
YouTube.
That's how all artists feel.
Yeah.
All real artists are the same.
Yeah.
You know, do you do it for yourself?
Yeah, sometimes I wonder. I mean, as you get more into the industry and you get more of a following, and like you become more aware that like people are gonna hear it. Like I can feel it kind of influencing my music a bit. But it's always been for myself. Like you know, I used to just write, just sit in my room, sit in my closet sometimes. Like I would just write.
Because like a small.
Because I didn't want anyone to hear me. Like I was just like not.
Literally closeted.
Literally closeted. It was just because of the way it made me feel, I guess. So yeah, I just write for sure. I just write things that are real to me, truthful to me. For me, like I don't know how to write music that's not like just from some yearning in my. So like it's just an outlet, right?
You mean
it's
like
just,
made up?
Yeah, like made up. or a story, which is like technically it's easy to do. I could pretend I'm writing about a relationship or I'm writing about a situation, but something inside me just like it doesn't connect as much. Like
Right.
it needs to be from a place that's
Okay.
like
So at least you've
real.
tried and you're aware
I
that
have
is,
tried,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That being said, like I would love to make some, top 40 hits that like are completely a facade.
Where do you see the music taking you, or where do you want to take your music?
Where do I want to take the music? I just want to keep evolving as an artist and just keep building my kind of stage sound. Building better performances for people and doing better recordings and putting out more music and getting it heard by more people and just, just do the artist stuff and just kind of be true to myself, just kind of keep evolving as an artist.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay.
You're an essential worker.
Yeah, essential.
All right. Should we get high and eat pizza?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's do it.
Where do I go from here? Yes, 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 yes. Woman,
Yeah. Smash it. That was my brother's. How does it feel to be in Toronto?
Feels good.
Good.
I have wanted to come back for a long time. I'm here.
Now it's time to conquer.